Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Prista Dom 1, and I am back with another video. Let's adjust this camera. Can I just? Well, we'll keep it like that for now. Okay. I don't like that. Let's keep it like that. There we go. There we go. We on and popping this morning. How's everyone's morning? It's a rainy morning where I'm from, but it is what it is. We're going to get into it. The Arizona Cardinals, as well as other NFL teams out there, are suffering quarterback injuries. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be available for the foreseeable future. The Miami Dolphins, Jay Cutler stink. Well, Jay Cutler is going to be out for like 3 to 4 weeks, and Carson Palmer is yet another quarterback that's going to be out for several weeks. I think with Carson Palmer, I feel like if he is able to come back, it's going to be later on in the season, and that's early estimations. Okay. Now, it's amazing when you don't prepare for the worst. The old Boy Scout motto is be prepared. Always have your ducks in a row, because you never know when stuff goes left. And with the Packers, even though I understand their reasonings, they already invested some time and energy in the backup quarterback. However, there's a reason why he's a backup quarterback. If you look at the stats, wasn't very impressive, and they primarily were using the running game to generate points. And the reasoning why, because of the quarterback that they have on the field. He's not Aaron Rodgers, and let's just be fair. Every NFL team, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are not Aaron Rodgers. But however, having a solid veteran quarterback would have been in the Packers' best interest. Okay, as well as Miami. They already had their Ryan Tannehill. He was already injured for the year. They went to Jay Cutler, an older quarterback, and logic being hindsight, they should have realized that Jay Cutler, who always had in his career, he always had an injury plague type of season. They should have expected the worst from Jay Cutler and signed another veteran quarterback. Okay, prepare for the worst, particularly with Jay Cutler. And Jay Cutler has been known to not be the most successful quarterback. When he's in a slump, he's definitely in a slump. Okay, and he's at the end of the day, he's a backup quarterback who happened to land a starting gig. He was in broadcasting. There's a reason why Jay Cutler was going to go into broadcast, because the success in finding a job, that window was closing by the seconds, right? And we look at Carson Palmer, who he was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, had some success with the Cincinnati Bengals. Then he chose to retire early, and the reason why he retired early, because he didn't like the organization of the Cincinnati Bengals and their direction. It wasn't because of injuries or anything like that. He ended up going to the Raiders out of retirement, and then the Raiders traded Carson Palmer to Arizona, and he had some successful seasons in Arizona. Okay, and he went down, but he always had he always had an experience of being injured a lot. in his career. And Miami, Arizona, they should have knew that going in, and it's important to have a veteran backup quarterback. Now, why am I going through all of this and stating the obvious? You should have had a backup veteran quarterback, okay? There's a veteran quarterback out there who hasn't been signed, and if you would have signed him in the offseason, you would have gotten him on the cheap and you know, practice under your system so he can get some type of experience in your system. Maybe play a preseason game or two, okay? And that's Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick could have solved a lot of these woes, okay? Now, I will say this going in, I don't think he would have been a good fit in Miami, particularly with his comments about the residents in Miami when he wore the Fidel Castro t-shirt. That would have been a tough sell to sell off to fans, but, you know, winning solves a lot of that, okay? I don't think, I think they would have pretty much had the same record than what they got right now, and that I don't think that record's good enough to win the fans' hearts and minds back, okay? However, in Arizona, that would have been a viable option for Colin Kaepernick to go to, because you just don't know about Carson Palmer, okay? Like I said, he has a tendency in his career to be injured a lot, okay? So it's one of those things. Now, with the Packers, they didn't see this coming, but they should have expected for it to come. Even though Aaron Rodgers, through his career, hasn't been injured a lot, okay? But still, if you're able to get a quarterback, a veteran quarterback who's pretty good, he was great like 3 years ago. He's still has youth on his side. I feel like Colin Kaepernick would have been a good person to just sign for the cheap, and you can always cut him when you really don't need, when you get closer to the playoffs, if you feel like you don't need him. And if you look at the scores of particularly Arizona and the Packers, if they would have had a veteran leadership type of quarterback, well, a veteran quarterback, I think the outcome would have been different. Not with Arizona, because you know, but I feel like with the Packers case, if he would have had some time in camp, play a preseason or two, you never know. I think that outcome would have been definitely different. If Miami, which I don't see the Miami Dolphins organization signing Colin Kaepernick, I don't think those fans, it would have been a tough sell to overcome, and they would have went through a lot of media bad press because of it. But I also feel if you take away Colin Kaepernick's protests, if you take away the bad press, the controversies and things of that nature, I think Colin Kaepernick is head and shoulder a better quarterback than Jay Cutler. Now, Jay Cutler was what he has that Colin Kaepernick doesn't have is experience in that system and with that coaching staff. Okay, that's a big reason why Jay Cutler got the job, because of that. However, if everything was hindsight 50-50 and you didn't have to deal with all of this luggage, okay, with Colin Kaepernick. And by the way, before anybody starts to comment, I was in favor of the stand, particularly when cops are killing African Americans, Black Lives I couldn't necessarily do a protest like that, right? But protests are not to be, they're not pretty. Protests are never pretty. Protests are never comfortable, okay? But I understood what Colin Kaepernick was doing, all right? I just felt like not standing for the national anthem. To me, I wouldn't do that, but I'm just speaking for myself. But I do understand why there are now more than ever not only players doing it, but all over the world. Okay, so this has grown, like it or not, love it or hate it. This phenomenon has been growing by the seconds. All right. And it really does matter, and it's really that important. It's so important enough that now NFL owners are trying to stay away from Colin Kaepernick, all right? Even if it betters their team, they're still not going to pick up Colin Kaepernick, all because of this. But you have to take your feelings out of the equation, and you have to look at your franchise and wins and losses, okay? And putting the right personnel, the right people to be very successful, particularly in the NFL season. The Browns could have took a flyer on Colin Kaepernick because what they have is really not that impressive. The Broncos could have took a flyer on Colin Kaepernick, even though I understand why they didn't, because they had two younger quarterbacks that they're trying to figure out who's going to be the successor. I understood that. But when you're looking at the Cardinals, where you really don't have anyone viable that you can depend on, and when you look at Miami, even though I understand why why it would have been a tough sell for the Miami Dolphins organization to do. I feel like at the end of the day, Colin Kaepernick is much younger than Jay Cutler. And to me, Colin Kaepernick, talent-wise, is a better talent than Jay Cutler. All right? It's just Jay Cutler, the reason why he won that job because of the coaching staff. He used to play with some of those coaches. And he wasn't going to be a tough sell for Miami fans, but I guarantee you Miami fans are kind of happy that Jay Cutler is going to be down for a couple of weeks. And I feel like Jay Cutler is probably going to call it a wrap. He may play one more game, but then after that, this was all just for 1 year. They're really not going anywhere. Miami should start looking into the future. Maybe having a bad record would be beneficial to them, because now they are definitely going to get a top 5, top 10 draft pick, and they might luck up and get a quarterback in this year's NFL draft. Clearly, Ryan Tannehill, this is the best you're going to ever do with him. All right. And the Cardinals, the same problems with the Cardinals. I think they need to start looking. I think they need to start rebuilding, starting over, because when Carson Palmer was very successful, he got them to the Super Bowl. However, that's as far as they ever gotten, with Carson Palmer, and they haven't returned since. So I think they should be looking into the future. It wouldn't hurt for that organization to be looking for the future as well. As far as the Packers go, they clearly have a future with Aaron Rodgers, but I guarantee you in the offseason, they're going to be looking for a veteran quarterback for the cheap that can win them. Maybe if Aaron Rodgers missed like 3 or 4 games, at least that veteran quarterback can make them even. Okay, at least win 2 out of 2 games or 2 out of 3 games. All right. So it's one of those situations that I think all three of those organizations, I think they should have prepared a little bit better for the future. Particularly when you look at the resumes of some of these quarterbacks I just mentioned. A lot of these resumes, these quarterbacks through the years have been out for a long period of time. Okay, so it shouldn't be a surprise to these organizations. But guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dom One. I am out. Deuces.